I feel like Chicago is known mostly for the violence. Everywhere I go, people are always like, oh, is it that bad? They really killing each other like that, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like it could change, you know, Chicago, we gotta make a better name for ourselves because there's so much nice stuff in Chicago for us to be known for, and all they really highlight is the bad stuff.
Chicago is the home of the blues. Chicago is the house of house music. Chicago is the consciousness of hip hop. Chicago is the center of Black political debate and strategy. Chicago is the mentor of President Barack Obama. Chicago is where Farrakhan rebuilt the Nation of Islam. Chicago is where Reverend Jesse Jackson created Operation Breadbasket and Operation Push. Chicago is where Margaret Burroughs built the DuSable Museum. Chicago is where the Raisin in the Sun was made because of a discrimination case of fair housing. Chicago is the center of Black thought.
Anywhere you go in the world, being from Chicago, you're gonna stand out. And it's like very few cities that have that like style and charisma about them, maybe just the way we grew up.
Chicago's just a very segregated city, so it's pretty and it's ugly. It's not the best. I think that's what gives you the type of Teflon skin that you have or the type of attitude you may have.
I believe Chicago is truly a place where people of color have never stopped searching for the best parts of ourselves. For me to sit here and give you a strong, solid definition of Chicago would be ego. It would be misleading. It's ever evolving.
Chicago's culture is Black. Don't let anybody else tell you different.
The people, you know, we got different swag, we got a different grit, you know, a different dialect here in Chicago. I mean, we've got food, we've got dance, we've got art, we've got rich history here, a lot of great politicians. I mean, come on, the first Black president of the United States from Chicago, from my city. So first, just to break down the city, how it goes. It's the north side, which is just far north, if that makes sense. And then they got the west side, the east side, but of course, to save the best for last, the south side, which is where I'm from, on my parents' footstep in Bronzeville, on the low end.
Chicago feels like a mixture of the South and a mixture of the North. At least on the west side for sure, like it feels like Mississippi, it feels like Arkansas.
Growing up Black in Chicago, it was fun. I grew up so fast, I can't even remember all the that I did and everything that I've been through. This is G Herbo. I'm from the east side of Chicago, 79th Street, also known as Terrortown. I took on like a lot of trauma and like a lot of responsibility at such a young, early age, you know what I'm saying? My mom and my dad always let me like just go out and conquer the world on my own. They were strict early on, but they saw I was probably like so slick and so determined that I always made a way to do what I wanted to do. And they felt like I was smart enough where they could trust me to go out and like just be me, be myself. What motivated me to become an artist, I gotta give credit to both of my uncles. They passed away. I just looked up to them because they was like leaders of my family. I had like a love for music just watching them. I probably wrote my first rap when I was like 8 years old, 9 years old or something like that. But I ain't really take it serious. I never wanted to like become this big famous rapper. I just wanted to rap for my homies. Like I used to make music because my homies related to it, and I used to talk about stuff that was actually happening and true and going on in my neighborhood. I rap in front of like 30, 40 people and the whole block would be going crazy. They gave me motivation, like, no, you could make it, you the truth, you got it, but I wasn't taking it serious. I didn't think I could really be something for real. By the time I was 18 years old, I had like a couple $100,000 for sure. I was making money where I could have felt like, all right, I'm finna just invest in myself and take it all the way serious. It took for me to like not want to live that life no more, like not really want to be in the streets and have to watch over my shoulder. You know, I just got fed up with living the street life because I felt like it was a dark cloud over me. Like I would go to jail or die, like for real, for real. God gave me a real gift and a talent, so I couldn't really like keep blocking that voice in the back of my head and not follow my instinct. Now I get my inspiration from both of my sons. Just looking at them and seeing so much of myself already. So my 3-year-old, like, yo, son, I just look at him and I want to provide for him like as much as possible, and I want him to have all the opportunities and the resources that he can have to like achieve in life. I be inspired by the people around me too, my team. I got a solid team. If I know people like really in my corner that want me to win, I want to win just as much. I'm like a real team player. Being successful to me means controlling your own destiny, getting up, putting the work in, and working every day to achieve the goals that you set for yourself and not anybody else. It's all up to you to put the work in. It's all up to you to make the sacrifices. It's all up to you to hold yourself accountable when stuff don't go your way. I feel like if you do that and you have those qualities about yourself, it's like limitless to probably what you could achieve. You know what I would say to any kid, anybody that want to be successful, be an artist or an athlete, whatever you want to be in life, I would tell them to believe in themselves for one. You gotta have confidence, you know what I'm saying? Without confidence, you really can't get to that next level because life gonna throw challenges and obstacles at you where you have to be confident. And I feel like only the strong survive. And you gotta have faith in knowing that it's meant for you to be what you are and where you are in life.
Growing up in Chicago was extreme. It was extremely violent, extremely artistic, extremely emotional. But through the extremes, right, is where we learn balance. And so when you see the best of Black Chicago, you see the best of a balanced person. Hello, how are you guys doing? Welcome to my great-grandparents' house. My name is Trey Brianfest Kwaku. My Islamic name is Abdul Nur, and I am from the south side of Chicago. When you ask me the question, how do I get into music? No one gets into music, you're born into it. You know, we didn't come to the earth, we came from it. I was born to the sound of a drum. I grew up with this aunt, and my aunt was a teacher. She used to sit me at the table every day after school and make me go over vocabulary, comprehension, like read, blah, blah, blah. I hated it. I cried every day. I was like, God damn it, I just got out of school. Why are you taking me back to school? She said, one day you'll appreciate this. When my aunt taught me at that table how to read and how to comprehend the words, I did so much better at that table than I did in the classroom and never realized it. And when rap came along and they started putting them words together and I started seeing the value of words, and when school would say, all right, your homework assignment is to write an essay about anything, and I would write it as a rap, and go to school, hey, you should do your homework and do it right. You should do your homework every day and night. You know that homework is always due. Listen to me, this rhyme is true. When you grow up, you'll be so glad homework is good, it ain't too bad. That was in 5th grade. That was the first rap I ever wrote. And then the class went crazy and I was like, oh, I found what I'm gonna do. I remember I worked in this flower shop for this white guy. And I said, I need a raise. I've been working here for 2 years. And he said, this is a job, not a career. He said, what you got is what you get. And I realized I needed some kind of education because I wasn't gonna do nothing. Like, these schools didn't prepare me for real, for real. I went and got my GED, and then I went to Columbia College, which was an art school. Everything changed. I realized how Chicago has such bad education systems for Black kids that we don't even know that we smart and can learn. One of the greatest teachers of my personal life was the mother of Kanye Amari West, and her name was Dr. Donda West, a Fulbright scholar, a beautiful woman who was really of the diaspora. So Dr. Donda West, she freed me to tell my story, to be myself, to be authentic and genuine. With music, it's a thing where like, there were artists that I liked and I looked up to and that I emulated myself after, that I was like, yo, if I could be self-deprecating and kind of funny like Biz Markie, if I could tell stories like Slick Rick, if I could be as lyrically raw as Big Daddy Kane and put all of that together, you know what I mean? Like, that was my influence. I love their vocabulary. I love how they put words together. But then when you add it with the extremes of the Chicago experience, that's what helped form the kind of style that I was coming with, and here we are.
Growing up black in Chicago, honestly, man, made me to the man I am today. From all of the different experiences I've gone through, good and bad, you know, they molded me to who I am. What's up? I am Trey White, born and raised on the south side of Chicago, Bronzeville, but I call it the low end. I was in Jack and Jill. I went to some good schools. I went to King College Prep High School, Murray Language Academy, which was a diverse school. But one thing I give credit to is my parents, because they always wanted me to be able to adapt in different environments. So, you know, I think it was important, and now that I'm older, I can see why it was beneficial to do that. So growing up, I always wanted to be like a weatherman. You know, but then you had to take math, and I wasn't really too good at math. So then I was like, okay, well, radio. You know, so I always listen to this prominent radio personality in Chicago who's no longer here, Herb Kent, to Doug Banks. These are very, you know, big people, you know, within the radio industry. So, you know, I used to listen to them on the radio. I'm like, man, you could get paid to talk about, you know, entertainment, talk about what's happening in the city, know about the culture. So I was like, man, that's why I want to do radio, and that's why I do it to this day. So you know what's crazy? My high school guidance counselor told me that I'm not a good communicator, and she even told me that I probably wouldn't do good in college. But not only did I go to one of the top HBCUs, but now, just think about it years later, I get paid to talk. So if anybody's watching this, don't let anyone's negative opinion of you define who you are.
I'm Jason Buckner, and I'm from the south side of Chicago. I was born in the winter of 1978 at the University of Chicago. Growing up black in Chicago was dynamic for me. I have a family of entrepreneurs, a family that's made up of business owners and entertainers. My grandparents, Tommy and Amanda Sutton, started Mayfair Academy, a dance school in Chicago, which is where we are right now. The school was started in 1957. My grandfather was a performer, a tap dancer, and he was very audacious. He performed all over the city, he taught all over the city, but most of his students were white. He wanted a place where the children of his neighborhood, who weren't welcomed in other areas of the city, could learn the skills of dance and performance. So he started Mayfair. He had a white person go to the bank and pretty much do the paperwork, like a front, and he started the business. They started with a one-room school on the south side with a small number of students, and they offered everything from tap, jazz, ballet, Afro-Cuban, to give kids on the south side exposure to dance. I grew up here. I started taking classes when I was 2 or 3 years old, and I was okay. You know, I wasn't great, but I loved dancing, I loved performing. And then as I grew, I worked here as an assistant teacher. I have produced some of our performances and shows, and now I'm the president of our board of directors. Mayfair has a strong legacy. There's a legacy of excellence. You show up, you perform, you support and connect with others. And yes, we're teaching dancing, but these are really life skills that you practice, and you practice so that you can perfect what it is that you're doing, whether that's a tap step or whether that is pursuing your law degree. One of our most famous alumni is Michelle Obama. Woo-hoo-hoo, Michelle Obama. And you know, we just say, like, you can be Misty Copeland, you can be Michelle Obama, you can be Jason Buckner, whatever it is that you want to be, having those skills of showing up and being determined and perfecting what it is that you do and then sharing that with people, that's what Mayfair is about.
Chicago's a different type of place, you know what I'm saying? But it's home, it's my heart, that's what I love. What's up? My name is BJ the Chicago Kid. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I'm the youngest of 3 boys. Grew up with both parents in the home, mom and dad. At some point, my dad was a choir director, and then he was a big guy, so he ended up like doing security and a bouncer for like a lot of people, from Eddie Murphy to Oprah Winfrey, Muhammad Ali. It was pictures all over my house who my dad worked with growing up. And that was one of the coolest ways for me to kind of have my first insight into the music industry. I was bit by the bug just at a very young age. Being the youngest of 3, I did everything they did, whether it was bad or good anyway. So playing the drums, the singing, the listening to certain artists that lead to other amazing artists, the whole train of musical creativity was just always around. I couldn't see myself doing nothing else but doing something creative. Using my voice, but more in a literal term these days. I always spoke to us. I come from us, I am us. Really, over quarantine, I've just been recording a lot, shedding a lot, dealing with a lot that I didn't deal with before quarantine, for real. Bettering myself, bettering my music, and actually recording what I hear that's better in my head. Getting it to come out of speakers. All music comes from silence, you know what I'm saying? From silence, the seed of an idea or some type of sound happens. So I've really been trying to just tap into the more advanced version of BJ. Musically, I feel like I got a lot more to prove still. It's so much that I can do, it's so much that I do, but I realize it's how I feed it to the people, so that's still that little Chicago thing in me, that competitive thing. And I think the fans deserve that competitive level of good music. But, you know, in this crazy world, I'm still just trying to be the, you know, the most solid, the most G that I could be.
Welcome to the West Side, y'all. West Side is where it's at for real, but we don't never get no shine. My name is Tiffany Walden. This is North Lawndale, K-Town, Lexington, and Pulaski. My grandma bought this house when she moved up here from the South, so I grew up over here, and we lived here until she passed away. Growing up black in Chicago was fun. I wouldn't trade it for the world. As a kid, like in this neighborhood, every day was just like an adventure, coming outside and seeing who all was out here. I'm the co-founder and editor-in-chief of The Tribe, and The Tribe is a digital media platform that is reshaping the narrative of Black Chicago. It started a little bit before 2017. I used to work at the Orlando Sentinel in Florida, and I was covering crime and just homesick and like watching the way that national media was covering violence in Chicago at the time. And I would always complain to my best friend, Morgan, about like working in Orlando and working the 5 a.m. shift. And she'd be like, girl, just come on back to Chicago and like cover stuff here that you want to cover. So I took that leap of faith and just like quit and came back to Chicago. While we were freelancing for like the Chicago Reader and a few other papers in the city, I started to notice that like there wasn't really an authentic Black voice telling our stories here. The media was like very white in Chicago. So Morgan like came up with the idea for The Tribe and like the name and everything, and we ain't had no money. We ain't have a staff, we didn't have anything. We had some people who volunteered and wrote stories, and we just launched in February 2017. We didn't know it was gonna take off the way that it did, just because like, you know, we didn't have backing or money or anything like that to even market it. It was just really like grassroots and organic. But as we kept going and as we kept publishing stories and as we kept like telling true stories about Black Chicago that other outlets weren't telling, people started to gravitate toward us and our audience just grew organically. People started writing about us and asking us to do different projects and things like that with them. We started winning awards. We raised money and we were able to hire a staff, so now we have a team that's been helping us cover things through the pandemic down to today. You know, I hope that my grandma can see this from, you know, wherever she is and just be proud, because she came up here from Mississippi as well, like, you know, with dreams, and she was able to accomplish that. So I'm just hoping that she's proud of the legacy that I'm continuing.
All Black people from Chicago have experienced some type of trauma. We gather more funerals than we gather anywhere else in the city.
My name is Jamal Green. I'm from the South Side, Inglewood, and Gresham.
I was born at Trinity Hospital. It's on the south side of Chicago. Born and raised, for real, for real. Growing up black in Chicago was rough, traumatizing at certain times, but made me who I am today. To a lot of people from Chicago that come from these neighborhoods, they get discouraged. They don't have hope that they can become more than where they are. And they kind of set in the environment that was created for them. To me, it was an environment that I wanted to change. At first, I was discouraged and didn't have hope and wanted to leave too. But as I got older, I saw how important it was for people to get up and become change makers in the city. I'm the youngest ever run for mayor of Chicago, so people associate me with politics, of course, with that. At this moment, there's so much work to do in regards to our communities. I'm gonna continue fighting, like building this center, investing in projects that I see fit, as well as investing in politicians I see fit. When it's my time, the world would know. But as of now, I don't look at politics as a way for self-gain or a way to look for seats. I invest in what I like to do. I use my voice as I like to use it. Nobody can puppet me. I don't work for anybody. And so they're scared because they don't know when I'm gonna strike. But when I strike, everybody will know. Right now, we're trying to build a state-of-the-art youth center in my neighborhood, actually a former school that I went to in 6th grade. They shut it down almost a decade ago. And we're repurposing this land and building an 80,000 square foot youth center. And so this is a place where we're gonna be able to tackle the root causes of what's going on in these neighborhoods by providing them with a wellness center on site with services for homeless youth, and making sure that we evaluate each person that comes to this center to give them the services that they need. And then on top of that, giving them the programming that they would always hope for. This is a big investment in young people in this neighborhood and all throughout the South Side, to where they'll feel that they have somebody that cares about them, they'll feel they can get some services, and they'll also feel they can get the programming to lead them into the next stage and next phase of their life. And we're just excited.
So urban legends from Chicago, I would say Jeff Fort, Larry Hoover, obviously, man, notorious for their gangs here in Chicago, which I have no affiliation with.
Urban legends in Chicago, Margaret Burroughs, Harold Washington. The biggest one is named John Baptiste Point du Sable. He discovered this great place, Chicago, and he could have set the whole country on fire with the ideas that he had as a businessman.
I think the biggest urban legend is actually not a person, but it's the weather. People talk about it like it's a scary movie. Oh my God, I can't go to Chicago, it's too cold, that wind, oh my goodness. There is some truth to it, but it's cold in other places in this country, so Chicago gets a bad rep in that way.
So if we were talking about like mythical legends, I would probably have to say Candyman.
My grandma went to church in Cabrini Green, Wayman AME, which is still over there. And I remember being a kid and like going to church with her sometimes and having heard that legend of Candyman. So I would never really want to go to the neighborhood because I'm just like, the man is somewhere in the vicinity and I just don't want to run into him. I just couldn't watch that. It was too real for me. I think I've already said his name twice, so I don't know if I can say it again, but I remember him.
I thought Candyman was real growing up because the neighborhood, he was from Cabrini Greens, and the story just seemed so real. I never ever in my whole life went into a bathroom and said Candyman 5 times.
I heard it was a true story, but I wasn't scared. I think when you grow up in a place like Chicago, there aren't many things that you fear.
If you say Candyman 5 times while looking in the mirror, he appears and kills you.
No, black people don't need to be summoning.
Don't say that. I hope that this generation of kids get to know about the legend of Candyman, and I hope that the movie also explains a legacy of gentrification as well, because if you watch the movie from the 90s and the movie today, you're gonna see the neighborhood looks completely different. The thing about the legend was that it was black and that he was black and that he was somewhere lurking in the project buildings, with black folks. So I don't really know what we're gonna see in this new movie because there's no projects left. But I hope that that part of the story gets told too, about the changes and things that we're seeing in Chicago. Gentrification has affected Chicago a lot. I remember when I was a kid, my grandma, she would always talk about how they gonna start coming back this way. Not knowing who they is, you know, I'm just listening and eavesdropping on grown folks' conversation, but it's kind of a cycle. And at some point, like, I really fear that Chicago would just be so expensive and, like, black people would be so displaced that we won't really have, like, that cultural, like, foothold on the city that we used to anymore. I ain't been over here in a minute, but I just found out that this house next door is like an Airbnb. And it's like, for what? Like, why is this an Airbnb? I remember what the inside of this house looked like. It should not be an Airbnb. That is gentrification at its finest.
My neighborhood is like real close to Lake Michigan, and you would go back and you see like these nice apartments now, like people walking their dogs in certain areas, you feel me? Like, it's not completely gentrified, but they trying to buy it back slowly but surely, you know, and I feel like people that made money in Chicago, we could have been owning our neighborhood and buying some of these businesses and, you know, giving the jobs to like our family members, you feel what I'm saying? And no matter what the other ethnicity is, they gonna take care of their people. They gonna make sure they people okay, you know what I'm saying? And we need to learn how to do that.
One of the misconceptions about Chicago is the consistent gun violence. In Chicago, and just like any other hood, a lot of people could bring you there, but a lot of people can't get you out. If you came to my block with me, you leaving with me. Ain't nobody touching you, ain't nothing happening. My name, my voice, the respect in my neighborhood is honored just like I respect my neighborhood. That mutual respect is honored and it holds weight for those that actually really, you know, can go back.
I walk outside and I ain't afraid of young people, and they not afraid of me. We love each other. They see me walking my dog every day and be like, what up, Ryan Fast? I'm like, what up, bro? Maybe because I'm older, but young people have it hard. Somehow young people have been turned against one another. So I don't want to trivialize what young people go through.
Gun violence is prominent in Chicago, I believe, because of generational trauma. Kids grow up and their fathers were murdered, their uncles were murdered, their grandfathers were murdered, and they feel the only way to, you know what I'm saying, be safe, or the only way to act or react is gun violence. You know, that's all they know, that's all they seen all their life, you know, and you can't really judge it, you know, especially if you're a product of it or a victim of it, you know. It's a natural human reaction to want to defend yourself or want to protect yourself.
Gun violence in Chicago is a direct result of the fact that these neighborhoods are divested from. We are not investing in these communities when it comes to the resources that leadership have. It is a direct result of white supremacist systems that were created to oppress black folks. That's the root of gun violence.
I don't know a single person in Chicago who has not been affected by gun violence. And unfortunately, the people that I know that have been shot and killed have been young people. And it's tragic when you see it on the news. Having a gun in Chicago is very common. And because it is, that breeds a culture of gun use and gun violence.
So these people just don't have hope. And so this cycle just continues. Who breaks this cycle in these neighborhoods? Who steps in and says, I want to invest in this kid, you know? What is there in a neighborhood where everything is boarded up, vacant lots, the buildings are being knocked down, they don't have no plans to rebuild on them. They literally set these people up for failure. And these people, I mean, I was a part of it. I just found my way to make it out.
I feel like a gang wasn't supposed to be something negative. You know, it was supposed to be a way to tie your community together and make your community better. And it just got spent into something that's like out of control.
Even when my friends come to Chicago, they always say gang, gang, or I want to go to 63rd and all of this stuff. But really, Chicago is more than that. And it's gang violence everywhere. You know, it's crime in every city. Unfortunately, Chicago just gets the bad rep, but I feel like it could be resolved with more resources in our communities.
The solutions have to come from the politicians, it has to come from the educators, and it has to come from the people. Like, we have to want a city where we feel safe.
The way to end gun violence for me, I believe, is to actually be in the mix. People who like have influence like myself, you know what I'm saying, who are resourceful like myself. You gotta go in the mix and you gotta start with the kids, because I come from that, you know. I didn't wanna have to live that way the rest of my life, and the people who do live that way don't want that for themselves. It's just all they know. And you can't tell a person to like change their lives if you don't have something else for them to rely or lean on, you know what I'm saying? People from Chicago, they know what I come from. They know everything that I've been through, you know, so for me to come back and show them that there's a way, it's motivation, it's inspiration for people, you know what I'm saying? You can't change every life, but you could, you know, you could change a few of them.
The changes that I would like to see in Chicago are more opportunities, resources, and freedom in all of our neighborhoods.
In Chicago, the change I would like to see most is unity, like people really coming together, and I feel like it'll bring more opportunities, more money for us. I don't care who you are, where you from, everybody had the opportunity to change their life. Everybody had the opportunity to get some money and better themselves. I don't give a who you are, what you've been through. Everybody had an opportunity. That opportunity knocked on your door at least one time, and if you took advantage of it or not, that's on you.
I think we need better schooling, which also stems from elected officials who are from Chicago. You know, currently, yes, we have a mayor who is an African-American woman, but I also feel as though that the mayor needs to be from Chicago. These people need to come from these streets.
Changes that I would like to see in Chicago would mostly be that Black people can have and like own and have their businesses and be able to grow their businesses and not be continually pushed out of the city because they're being priced out.
We talk about reforming, but some things were built on such a bad foundation, you gotta tear it down and rebuild it. Now for that, you know, I understand we always talking about revolution, but we don't got no ideas about what to replace it with. But there's some smart people here. There's some beautiful people here with great ideas that need to be tapped and activated for how we're gonna rebuild this thing. It can't be reformed. It must be rebuilt, restructured.
My mission is to really change these communities. My mission is to make sure we have good leadership. My mission is to make sure that my kids can grow up in this city. And at the end of the day, I understand everybody's not gonna like me. I don't want them to. In this line of work, if everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong. What I push folks to do is to do more. And I feel like you can't be a naysayer if you're not doing anything.
I want my legacy to be like Herb actually made a difference, not only for himself, but like other people. I've always been big on changing people's lives around me that I love. That's why I'm involved in a lot of the stuff that I'm involved in now, because I want it to just be bigger than music. You know, I don't want to be just known for rap, but I want to be known for somebody that really brought change for my people, you know, and made opportunities where people could really take care of themselves, and I changed a lot of families' lives.
I would like my legacy to be a sun that grows flowers. I would like my legacy to be like water that flowed through.
I pray that my mistakes ain't highlighted as high as my champion moments, but I pray people are able to see my mistakes to not make them. It's a lot that comes with me, but I'm a positive person. I have a beautiful heart, but I'm still from the South Side, so I just, you know, I perceive with caution like I expect other people to.
My legacy will be helping young people express themselves and tell their stories. Me being right there to champion who they are, support who they are, strategize their vision, and make it happen.
When people think about me or think about the tribe, I just hope that they see the value in the West Side. I just want people to like stop treating the West Side like the ugly stepchild of the city. When we've really contributed a lot to not only just Black Chicago, but Chicago as a whole.
My legacy, I'm still creating my legacy, but I want you to know that I'm Chicago till I die.